Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another action-packed episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is the 15th episode. I'm your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner from across the ocean and from the future. He is the barroom brawling, disco dancing, dynamite stretching, intercontinental playboy force. He's more over than peeing on motorcycles. At GRS, glad of it. Glenn, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We will get into that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. You ever peed on a motorcycle?
No.
Me neither. I mean, I was gonna say I peed on a lot of things, but I mean, I haven't peed on a lot of things. I take that back. I peed on some things in life.
Yeah.
Mostly, sides of buildings.
Yeah, buildings and bushes and things, but never motorcycles.
Never been arrested for that one though, so that's at least good news.
No, that's a good one.
It's one of the few things I haven't been arrested for. Anyway, so we kind of had an up and down week, didn't we, for as far as the football goes?
Oh, more ups and downs.
Well, I guess it depends on which how many of the fans you talk to, because some of the Arsenal fans will have you believe the sky is falling and we should just sack our manager because he's no good anyway.
Yeah, that same manager that turned things around at half time against Crystal Palace on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean it's the way people like crazily jump to conclusions to me is insane. Like to think that we should just sack the manager because a couple of things haven't gone our way this season is just to me is nuts. Because when you think about the problems that Arsenal have, I mean, if you want to talk about it, they could be fixed. You could think of a few names that could fix the problems.
Yes.
As regarding to players, you think maybe Martinelli's not doing enough on the left side. You could try to maybe bring in, Nico Williams, or you could try to bring in a new number 9. Even though my personal opinion is I don't think the number 9 position is the problem. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's
no. I honestly believe. I don't know. I'll leave it. Yeah, I honestly believe that he needs to find a place to play Jesus and Havertz in the same team. And that would solve our goal scoring problems.
Well, and, Jesus had a rough season last year with some injuries, and it's been really rough this year because he's been trying to get his feet underneath him. And I believe he even picked up an injury at the beginning of the year, which put him on the silence for a little while too. But now that he got the hat trick against Palace in the League Cup on Wednesday, I feel like that might inject some confidence into him, and we may see the Gabriel Jesus of old. At least I hope so, because I think he just needed to see some go in the net, and now he has. So
it certainly helped having Odegaard come on at half time. Basically put the ball in the right place for him to run onto. Yeah.
I mean, that always helps.
I know one of his goals may have been disallowed by VAR if there had been such a beast.
I think maybe the first one, I think he might have been a shade offsides, maybe.
Yeah, if they'd gone and drawn the lines, it would have come up as a toenail offside, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
But certainly not to the naked eye of the assistant referee, which they were having to rely on in this game, which is a good, as you said, it was nice watching a game where if the ball goes in the net, you could celebrate and not have to wait 10 minutes.
Either celebrate and wait 10 minutes and celebrate again, or sometimes I just don't celebrate at all. I just wait. I've gotten to the point now where it's almost, I assume that it's offside until somebody tells me otherwise. I just assume. But yeah, like I was saying, you could think of players that you could potentially bring in to maybe fix some of the problems that you see on the field. Name me somebody, a manager that you want to bring in that you think will do a better job than Mikel.
Exactly.
You can't. I bet there's not many names that you could fucking come up with. So,
well, no,
just sacking the manager isn't the answer.
If you think of probably the greatest club manager of the recent times and what he's going through at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Arsenal are a street ahead of Manchester City at the moment.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of teams that were, and them and Liverpool and Chelsea are the only teams that are ahead of us. So
yep. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I know everybody had high hopes of winning the league this year, but and I know people are like, they're upset about, but like, we're still in a really good position to possibly win the Champions League right now. We're what, third in the table? So so just everybody fucking take a chill pill.
That's right. And talking about people that are doing well in the Champions League, the Arsenal ladies, they were playing at the same time as the men, but I caught up with it afterwards on the U of the Tube. And what a good result that was against Bayern Munich.
It's crazy to think. I mean, the same team played Munich at the beginning of the Champions League group stage, and they got absolutely demolished 4-0. And you would have thought that this was an entirely new team that was out there this time, but it's not. They're just better directed now.
It's a new manager. It's not a new team.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is the case of a manager making a team rather than a team making a manager.
Yeah, because I mean, they didn't bring in anybody new. It's all the same players.
And this is what's happening with Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought that they were going to take a step back, and they've taken a step forward with the new manager.
And it's only because he's using them right. He was given all the ammunition, and I don't understand why they sacked Klopp, to be honest. But there you go.
They didn't sack Klopp. Klopp stepped down on his own. He was
Klopp stepped down, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. So and he left the club in such a good position.
Definitely.
Team wise.
It's going to be interesting to see what goes on with him in the offseason, because I think Salah's on the last year of his deal. I don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold will be back. I think Van Dijk's on the last year of his deal too.
Let's face it, we could be in a worse position. We could be Tottenham supporters.
Or even Aston Villa. Like, I know Villa's doing okay in the Champions League too, but like, to see how far they are down the table when the season started, people were thinking like they were going to be, one of the top premier teams, and it just goes to show you that sometimes what you're looking at on paper doesn't always work out when you get out there on the field. It's just the way it goes.
If people listening to this don't know, last night, Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal's beloved rivals, played against Manchester United, Arsenal's most hated team. Tottenham Hotspur went 3-0 up. They were coasting. Then their goalkeeper had 2 total aberrations.
Wow.
And Manchester United came back to 3-2. Tottenham then made it 4-2. And with about 5 minutes to go, Manchester United managed to get a third. But Tottenham, just about by the skin of their teeth, held on for what you could consider a very hard-fought win.
One of the guys doing the post-game show over here said that he would release the keeper who played for Tottenham. He would release him from the club today if he was the manager. That was I told my wife, I said I watched a football match earlier, and it was funnier than any damn comedy movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I was in hysterics.
It's even the corner that Son pushed in. It was easily could have been punched away, but the Manchester United goalkeeper just completely whiffed on it, and it goes in the back of the net. I was like, nobody scored in this game that should have allowed. Nobody.
And then complained. Dominic Solanke's 2 goals were good.
Yeah, you're right. The first 2 goals were good.
But I love the way that referee let that Manchester United goalkeeper get away with all the moaning that he was doing.
He did give him a yellow card.
But if that had been Raya, if that had been Arsenal in that situation, he would have been sent off.
I was surprised he didn't get another one because he gave him the yellow card pretty quickly, and then he kept going on about it.
Even after the final whistle, he was still carrying on.
Yeah, he was like pointing up at the board. He was trying to scream. I kept screaming, Gafford over and over again. Like, there's nothing he can do about it. There's no VAR. Move on.
So all in all, the last couple of days have been very entertaining football.
Boy, I really enjoyed watching that. I mean, because I was out and I didn't see the first part of it, and then you were like, make sure you see the replays, and then they showed the 2 replays of the 2 United goals, and oh my man, that was just the worst goalkeeping I've ever seen. And then it was like he got to the point where he's like, well, my hands don't work because they had that one shot in where he just booted it back out, and I'd never seen that before. That was so weird.
Nobody's ever seen that before. Even the commentators over here we go, what's he done? What did he do there?
At
least he kept it out.
Did he just boot that back out? That was so weird. Like most goalkeepers would have dropped down and caught that. Not this guy.
Yep,
he just kicked it out.
No, as you said, he knew his hands weren't working, so he decided to use his foot.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching that match. If every team that I don't like, if 2 teams that I don't like played each other and they played like that every time, boy, it'd be a hoot. Because that was a lot of fun.
It was.
It really was. But yeah, so they got a nice run of games coming up going into Christmas and then coming into the new year. So be interesting to see what happens.
That's right.
We'll finally be rounding out the group play of the Champions League, which I feel like that's been going on for 85 years at this point.
It certainly has.
Feels like it's been a long time. But let's move away from the football, Glenn, and let's talk about the wrestling. What do you say?
That's a good idea.
We go back to April the 6th of 1998 to the On Center War Memorial in Syracuse, New York. The War Memorial opened on September 12th of 1951, so a very long time ago. Pretty famous, this arena. In April of 2000, actor David Arquette won the World Heavyweight Championship at this arena during a WCW Thunder taping. It also held the first ever WWF In Your House pay-per-view in April of 1995. Many Raws and, SmackDowns, the house shows at this over the years. It also has held many pay-per-views. No pay-per-views, only house shows and Raws. And if you happen to find yourself in Syracuse, New York, surprisingly, Glenn, this place is still open, even though it opened in 1951. If you find yourself there, head on down there. You can check out Disney on Ice on the 26th, the 27th, or the 28th of December. I've been to Disney on Ice, and it's magical. So check it out if you're in the Syracuse area.
Oh, yeah, but a building that old, they must have done a lot of work to that to get up to fire code to be able to hold Disney on Ice.
I was shocked.
2024.
I was shocked that it was still open. So I went to Disney on Ice here, and I don't know. This might just be a Nebraska thing, but there wasn't a lot of people there. It wasn't jam packed or anything by any means. There was plenty of room to move around. So yeah, I think we're getting to the era of when we're going to have a promo kick off the Raw every show now, because that's what we get here. With Vince McMahon opening the show, he comes down to a chorus of boos and Austin chants. He asks for everyone's attention. He talks about what happened last week, said it was the toughest thing he ever had to do in his professional life. He says he regretted it, but Austin was released later that night. He says that Austin has learned his lesson the hard way, and he tells us tonight we will see a brand new and improved Stone Cold Steve Austin, and even guarantees us our money back, he said.
Yes, it seems strange. It actually adds to this feud is that we've not quite got Mr. McMahon yet. He's still trying to be the Vince McMahon of the 80s and 90s the fans liked. If not, never loved, but liked enough not to boo him out the building. But they're just getting onto him the whole time now. And no wonder there was the heel turn.
Yeah, it doesn't last. His I think he's trying to slowly turn into it, and it's going to go full force this week going into next week.
Yeah.
Then the first match that we get is the WWF debut of one Dan Severn. He comes down to the ring with Jim Cornette. He's got more fucking championship belts than Kenny Omega had in AEW during the COVID era. He had like 40 belts.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't even know what all the belts were. Apparently, he's the NWA World Champion, Dan Severn, and they show us like a video package of his whole career.
Yeah.
And he's taking on poor old Flash Funk, whose career has really gone downhill since we saw him in 1997.
Oh, how has it? He's now playing jobber to Dan Severn.
He doesn't even get to dance to the ring anymore. He got the jobber's entrance. He was already out there.
He was already out there. And if you looked, it looked like he'd lost a bit of weight as well, because even his outfit looked a bit saggy.
It could be.
And not the polished Flash Funk from a year ago.
Maybe he's feeling less than inspired by what he's got going on.
Yeah.
I totally understand.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, this match is a shade under 3 minutes. I think it went 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 59 seconds.
2 minutes and 54 seconds it was. Okay. Before Dan Severn got Flash Funk in an arm bar and submitted him out.
Yeah, I've said this before. I'm sure Dan Severn's a nice guy, hell of a shoot fighter, boring as balls pro wrestler. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, but no. They then showed DX, and they're like looking through the hallways, and they're making their way down to the ring, apparently, because when we come back from commercial, they come down to the ring. Triple H gets on the mic, says they formed DX Army last week, and then Road Dogg does this whole New Age Outlaws stick. They make some bad dick jokes. They clearly are trying to present these guys as heels, but it isn't working because the crowd loves them.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if you're gonna come out, behave the way they do, tell dick jokes and that sort of thing with a crowd that gets excited if somebody calls somebody a bitch.
That's true.
Then of course they're gonna get over.
Yeah, I don't know if their plan was to try to keep these guys heel. I think it was because of the action. But the thing is, though, like, they're gonna get into something with DOA, and I guess DOA are considered baby faces at this point, but I don't know. I guess I take it back because the crowd they do get a pretty good pop from the crowd, but that might be just because of the motorcycles, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So yeah, I don't know. After that, they go to the back. They tell everybody to suck it. They go to the back and they start messing around with some stagehand. They start spray painting them. They put them inside a trash can barrel and start banging on the sides of it. Basically just being assholes.
Yeah, I mean, the poor guy. What had he done? I hope he got paid well for that.
Probably not. He probably got
$50.
Yeah. Yeah. We then go into Steve Blackman, and he's going to be taking on Brian Christopher. Tennessee Lee comes out to join Michael Cole and JR for. I'm sorry, Michael Cole and JR for commentary. He tells us he's got a big surprise for us. What did you think about this match, Glenn?
This was actually better, apart from the usual Brian Christopher yelping and yelling all the time, which drives me mad. This was a better match than it had any right to be. It was just over 5 minutes, so it wasn't a complete squash like the Dan Severn one. They let Christopher get some offense in, but end of the day, it got Steve Blackman over, which is what the job of it was to do. Yeah,
I mean, I found this match to be a bit boring. I wanted to just fast forward through it. I didn't, but I wanted to. The surprise that Tennessee Lee has for us is that he tells us that Jeff Jarrett's going to be doing a big concert with country singer Sawyer Brown, which I don't think that's ever going to happen, so that's bullshit. Nope. Blackman ends up winning by submission. After the match, Tennessee Lee comes back out and introduces Jeff Jarrett, but he just attacks Steve Blackman from behind he hits Steve Blackman over the head with the guitar.
The first time that he's attacked anybody with a guitar.
I was going to say, keep a tally. That's his first. He's going to break 700 million guitars over his career, but this is his first one. Well, his first one in his new run. I'm sure he broke guitars over before. He then gets on the mic and says, "Now that's a smash hit," which was probably the best part of the. We then see DX in the back, Glenn, and what are they up to in the back now?
How can I put this politely? No, I won't.
I'll just say
This is a work in progress. People
Yeah.
don't want polite. They're pissing on the Disciple Apocalypse bikes.
They're Titan motorcycles, nonetheless.
Yep, their Titan motorcycles are being pissed on by DX.
So it was like a weird thing. I felt like Michael Cole was trying to do like a heel announcer during this. Did you get that vibe too?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it was weird because he would like say like snarky things like to combat JR, but then he wouldn't do it all the time. It was like he would morph back into his normal self, and that what was so weird about it. Like if he had really leaned into it, maybe it would have been something, but it was like he would only like drop subtle parts of it. It was really weird.
I wonder what would have happened if he had leaned into a heel commentator, whether his career would have gone the way it has.
Well, I mean, maybe he would have got his WrestleMania match with Jerry Lawler before WrestleMania 27. Because remember that heel run?
Oh God, yes. Oh hell, I forgot about that. I've wiped that from my memory.
People try to. That's got to be one of the. If you make a list of top 10 worst WrestleMania matches and that ain't on there, then you got it wrong, buddy.
Yeah,
that shit's terrible. And I think it's like 20 minutes long too. Is the worst part about it is it got way too much time. But anyway, we'll review WrestleMania 27 at a later date. Hopefully not, because it's awful. Yeah. So yeah, they piss all over their bikes, and Michael Cole says, "I guess it's better to be pissed off than pissed on." I guess. The next part was a pretty interesting part of the show. Cactus Jack comes down to the ring. He's got
just before that.
Oh yeah,
we get the LOD giving Jesus the Doomsday device, which basically the Bop It Slam of the week lasted about as long as the match did when we watched it last week.
The Bop It Slam of the week. Yeah, I know. It was 30 seconds.
Yeah.
As far as like in-ring action goes, this week was light years better than last week, I think.
Oh, it definitely was. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Cactus comes down. He's got a neck brace on. He's got a chair in his hands. They show a video, of course, recapping what happened last week with the tag team title match. Jack gets in the ring. He sits down in the chair and he starts cutting a promo. He talks about all the chances and the risks he takes in the ring and all the bad things that have happened to him. He says that he always thought that the pain was worth the risk. But he said that he'd be damned if he was going to let guys like DX put him away. He then says that Terry Funk isn't here and he hasn't talked to him. But he's missed some matches, and if you know Terry Funk, you know he doesn't miss matches. So he's either hurt really, really bad or his horse died. Yeah. He didn't say that part. I added that part. I added that one. Yeah, he says
he should have.
Yeah, it's true. He then talks about losing the tag team belts last week. He talks about how at the beating they took last week, and all he could hear was fans chanting Steve Austin's name. He talks about how he tried being Mankind and everybody wanted him to be Cactus Jack. And then he put on tie-dye and tried being Dude Love, but everybody just wanted to be Cactus Jack. And then he gave him Cactus Jack and he gave him everything he had. And all they did was chant somebody else's name while he was beat up. He says he's not mad at Steve Austin. In fact, they've been friends for a long time. He then asked the fans to pretty much apologize to him as a group, which to my shock and surprise, no one did. I'm just kidding. I wasn't shocked or surprised. And then he says after 13 years, he's decided that maybe the pain isn't worth the risk. And he gets up to leave and he says it might be a while before you see Cactus Jack in the ring again.
This promo, it reminded me very much of the one that New Day cut recently on Big E. There was no lies told. A heel promo, but you have to go, yeah, what they're saying is true.
Yeah.
Those fans that were chanting for us, I know they were doing it to try and get Austin out there to help save him. Looking at it from his point of view, all they were doing was cheering Austin and not helping him at all.
Yeah.
And this is a great way of bringing back Mankind.
It's a great way to turn him back heel because I think I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. Yeah. So, and Nick is really good at these in-ring promo sort of things, and he like the whole thing with where we watched when we did Warrior Attitude, where he did that whole sit-down thing with JR, that whole multiple part series, and it can really just show you like a different layer of his character, and I think he did it here too. And like you said, it's when you watch wrestling and the person talking is actually saying things that you can look at and go, oh yeah, that's absolutely right. It adds something to it. So, interesting stuff there from Mankind.
And it's setting up Steve Austin's first feud as champion.
Yeah, and it lays it out perfectly as to why Mick's doing what he's doing. Yeah,
exactly.
They then show a short video, a video shot by the Nation rather earlier today, where they're all beating up Farouk in the parking lot.
Yeah, poor Farouk.
Yeah, bad old.
I never thought I would say that, but poor Farouk.
We then get an Intercontinental Championship match with The Rock defending the championship against Owen Hart. And I was hoping that this would be a little bit better. It only went 4 minutes. It was fine, but I just felt like we could have got more out of these two.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, I suppose there was plans for more from these two, but unfortunately, what transpired, it never got that far because Owen then joins.
Yeah, it's coming up here pretty soon. Yeah, it ends in a DQ. Owen gets the Rock in the sharpshooter. It looks like he's about to win, but then China comes and runs in and hits him with a baseball bat. And yeah, that is that.
Or as they kept on calling it on commentary, a ball bat.
Yeah, they didn't say baseball bat. They just said ball bat.
It's a ball bat.
Maybe that's baseball must be one of Vince's words.
Yeah, you can't say.
And then we get the second hour, and it starts with Vince McMahon coming down to the ring. He's got 2 police officers flanking him. They then bring out the new and improved Stone Cold Steve Austin. What's he wearing, Glenn?
He's wearing a suit, and I must say, it actually fitted in quite well. He looked quite good in it.
He didn't look as out of place as you would think he would.
No, he didn't.
And this is one of those things where, like, your mind's eye is different than what actually happens. Because if you would have asked me when this took place, I would have told you that it was the night after WrestleMania, like the next night this happened. But obviously, I would have been wrong because it was a week later. I didn't even remember the Stone Cold Steve Austin getting arrested part. Like, that didn't even register in my mind. So, they start to talk about how it's a small step for Austin, but a giant leap for the WWF. He thanks Austin for taking a step in the right direction. He asks where his Gucci shoes are. Austin says they make his feet hurt. Vince then wants him to take off his Austin 316 hat. He throws it into the crowd. He says it doesn't go with the suit. Vince again then introduces the fans to the new Stone Cold Steve Austin, which gets a bunch of boos. And then he wants Austin to tell everybody why he changed his mind. He talks about when he was in the jail cell thinking about how he didn't think he was going to be able to go up against a billionaire and a business man like Vince McMahon and blah, blah, blah. He
was left in jail with bread and water.
They wouldn't bring him his bread and water.
They wouldn't bring his bread and water.
Yeah, I don't know if when you go to jail, I don't think you mandatory get bread and water.
No, I don't either. But
matter of fact, I know you don't. He then says that while he was in his jail cell, he asked himself if he could beat Vince McMahon, and he said, "Oh hell no!" just to himself alone in his jail cell. He then asked if they could pose for a picture together. Yep. They do. He then says, "The old Austin would have told you to stick that camera up your ass." He said, but the new Stone Cold Steve Austin wants you to take it and get the film developed because all the kids out there are listening to this. That's what you used to have to do. You have to take your camera to Walgreens and then they develop the pictures and hopefully they would come out and be good and they weren't shitty. You'd have to wait 6 weeks to find out. Because this is the last time you'll ever see me dressed like this. And he starts just tearing everything off, straight to his underpants. He tells Austin he won't change for anyone. He tells Vince he's not to trust anybody, and then he tells Vince to bow down to Stone Cold and gives him the old sack tap, hits him in the balls, and grabs the belt and leaves the ring.
I love the fact that he'd gone to the bother of wearing the 316 T-shirt underneath his dress shirt, but hadn't been able to put any wrestling trunks on. Just wore his tight boxers.
Yeah, I figured this have his black wrestling trunks on there, but I don't think they were.
No, they were just tight boxers.
Yeah.
So it looked hilarious.
So apparently, Stone Cold. Yeah, so Stone Cold is not going to be the corporate champion, and Vince McMahon's going to have to go back to the drawing board. DOA then comes down to the ring. They call out DX for peeing on their bikes. They say, if you got any balls to do, you got balls to do that, and let's see if you got balls to face DOA tonight. And then they left. I felt like that could have been a backstage segment. Like, they didn't need to come down to the ring for that.
No, they didn't.
No, it's strange.
It was obviously just giving the next match a bit of time before they came out.
Yeah, and the next one, Glenn, it's the first ever, they say, intergender match in WWF history.
Can we just go into the good, bad, and ugly bit of the show now?
Well, this is ugly.
This is definitely in the ugly pile.
Yeah, this is all day ugly. Bowling shoe ugly, as they say.
Bowling shoe ugly, yeah. That's the way to describe this. As Goldust beats up this anemic-looking jobber.
Whoever
the match even starts, whoever he is. And then, of course, Luna gets to pin him.
Yeah, Luna does a diving headbutt off the top rope and pins
him.
Let's be honest with ourselves, though. Luna Vachon did not need Goldust help to beat up this guy. She could have done it all on her own.
Oh, she could have done it all on her own.
Yeah.
He was about 130 pounds wringing wet.
with his wrestling boots on.
Yeah.
With water in them. That's
exactly.
He was a very, very small man. And yeah, I actually was hoping that like Luna would just honestly just beat him up herself, but I guess they didn't want to make this jobber look bad by getting beat up by a girl. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me.
It didn't make a lot of sense at all.
Yeah, and it's not like Luna's gonna have to show off her physical prowess to rip off Sable's fucking dress at fucking Unforgiven or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
We then get the second Val Venus vignette, and basically just dick jokes.
As hard as it gets.
Yeah, that's what the movie was
his
called.
His new film is as hard as it gets.
Yeah.
All right. There's nothing that they're going to be doing here with him that we haven't done with referees on the main show.
That's a good point. I think Nick Patrick is a much better porn star than Val Venus, in my estimation.
That's right. Yeah, there's no porn jokes that can be done.
Val Venus doesn't even have a fucking mustache.
Yeah, you call yourself a porn star and you haven't even got a decent mustache.
Yeah, that ain't even right. The next match is Mark Marrow versus Ken Shamrock. Mark does come down to the ring with Sable, but he then gets on the mic and tells her, "Look, I let you have your spotlight at WrestleMania now. Just get the hell out of my face." And she heads back to the back. This match was okay, I guess. It was fine.
Mm-hmm. It's back to the old Nation of Domination where they just...
The Nation of Domination?
Oh, I'm lost here. Oh, yeah. Well, they beat up Mark Marrow. No, they don't beat they beat up Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
So Ken Shamrock wins against Marrow by disqualification.
I forgot that the Nation even came out until right now when you said it. You're right. Yeah, no, I think you're right on about nothing to get excited about. I did like the counter that Marrow did where Shamrock went for a Hurricane Run and he caught him with a powerbomb. I thought that was
good.
Mark Marrow doesn't do a lot of stuff in the ring that impresses me, so when he does, I have to know it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. We know that he's a decent wrestler.
Yeah.
And watching him as Johnny B. Bad, we know he's a decent wrestler, but they won't let him show it.
Yeah, I don't know if because I know he had the knee injuries when he came to WF at first, and I don't know if that made him like his work rate different or the way he works different. I don't know, but like there's just something about when he's in WCW as Johnny B. Bad and in WWE as Mark Marrow. It's just I don't know. There's a complete disconnect, and I don't know. It's weird because it's the same person, but it's like you're looking at two different people.
Yep. The only thing that could be said about this little section is that it didn't make anybody look bad.
That's true.
Including Mark Marrow. So
that's true.
It did its job. It's advancing the Ken Shamrock against the Rock.
Yeah, they beat down Shamrock afterwards. He tries to fend them off with the chair, but Mark Henry gets him from behind, and so
Still feuding with the nation. The next thing is the Undertaker comes down to the ring. The first time we've seen him since WrestleMania. They ask him about the match with Kane at WrestleMania. If the Undertaker will be able to take the same sort of punishment, Unforgiven, the Undertaker says at WrestleMania, Kane found out that he is the Lord of Darkness, and that while Kane did give him the beating of a lifetime, he couldn't get the job done, basically. He says Kane's soul isn't pure and his is, and that's why he won at WrestleMania. They talk about the match at Unforgiven. He says that he used to beat Kane up when they were kids, and at Unforgiven, when his body is in flames, he will know that this is the beginning of his eternal damnation. But then the lights go out and we see Kane and Paul Bearer standing in a graveyard.
Yes, obviously where Undertaker was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's
the graveside of his mother and father.
Yep, at the graveside of their parents. Paul says that Taker will suffer a slow and painful death. Kane then pulls out a sledgehammer. Triple H is like, gimmick infringement. Just kidding. And he starts smashing the parents' headstones and then pours gasoline on them and sets them on fire. Well, that's dangerous. Set grass on fire.
Yeah, just in case.
And so pretty interesting stuff here. Further setting up.
It certainly is. And, they're building up to the next match between these two. And they sort of built it up too hard, too fast, I think. That was a bit punchy, what they did there. And they're going to go a long way to beat it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they played that destroy our parents' gravesite to that card too early, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I remember that this took place, but I literally thought it was further down the line than this. I didn't think it was during there. But yeah, so I mean, it's still interesting. It was one of the most interesting parts of the show. I think the more interesting parts of the show are the promo parts. I mean, the stuff with McMahon and Austin, the Cactus Jack promo, and then this, I think, are the three best parts of the show. And I think that's really the only thing that's hooking people in to bring them back, week after week, is the promo stuff, because it's certainly not the in-ring action. At least not with the weekly TV show. You know what I mean?
That's right. But you can see now we're starting to slowly see where the Attitude Era is going by the stories that they're telling every week, and you can see why the WWF are closing the gap on WCW.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that here soon. But first, it's the main event. It's DOA taking on DX. It's Triple H and the New Age Outlaws. X-Pac 6 out on this one. Of course, looking to get some revenge because they peed on their motorcycle. Longest match of the show. Got just over 8 minutes. Better than I thought it was going to be. What did you think?
Yes. No, it's all right. But it should be. Because Triple H and the New Age Outlaws against 3 decent wrestlers, it should be a decent match.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a nice, hard-hitting 6-man tag team match. And I don't have any complaints with it. It was probably the best match on the show. I think I said that already, but things break down toward the end of it. All 6 men brawling in and around the ring. During the chaos, Triple H hit a pedigree on 8-ball, pins him for the recount. After the match, they're really laying into DOA. They're beating him with chairs. They spike pile drive chains on a chair. They tie him to the top rope. They really start working him over until LOD comes down.
Yeah, I was going to say, unlike last week where nobody came to save Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie, LOD come down to make the save.
They like
it's because they must like motorcycles.
Yeah, they're not cool with people peeing on motorcycles either, I guess. So yeah, that the show goes off the air with all of the men brawling in the ring. All in all, decent show. Not really any good matches, but did have some cool moments. And
I think we're going to get a lot of this.
Yeah,
because if you think back to the Attitude Era, there's not that many where you go, especially in Raw, that was a great match. I remember that match.
Yep.
But you remember all the segments with Austin, McMahon, and
Yep.
the nation and all the rest of it, but you don't remember the matches.
Yeah, there's maybe 2 or 3 matches that I can think of during this era that took place on Raw that are really memorable, and that's because they were championship matches, because that doesn't happen very often.
No.
Especially back in those days, it never happened.
That's
But
right.
let's look at the TV ratings this week, Glenn. Now it's
Mhm.
getting a lot closer this week because Nitro wins again, but they only win by 0.20, with Nitro doing a 4.58 and Raw getting a 4.38. So it is getting closer. They are nipping at WCW's heels, if you will, Glenn.
Yeah.
And you want to hear some of the matches?
I was going to say, what is Nitro doing wrong now then? That they're slipping away.
So I mean, we don't watch it. So, but I want to, I wanted to think that maybe, and I don't know if it's so much of what Nitro they're doing wrong over on Nitro as just like the WWE is just so hot and everything with DX and Steve Austin. I will say that I think the Sting Hogan thing, the Starrcade finish, left a bad taste in some people's mouths.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that had something to do with it. But I really do think, because if we're going to look at this, like WWE might beat them in the ratings, but they're not going to be doing it by much. And WWE is drawing like a 4 or 5 rating, and Nitro's drawing a 4 or 5 rating too. So people are still watching. So it's
that's
not
right.
Like
it's not they just dropped off.
Yeah.
But let's have a listen to see what went on Nitro.
So the first match was a 6-man tag team match. El Dandy, La Parka, and Psychosis defeated. I can't even. Magnum Tokyo is the only one of those I can pronounce. Booker T defeated Disco Inferno. Kidman defeated Lenny Lane. Conan defeated Norman Smiley. Buff Bagwell defeated Diamond Dallas Page by countout. Goldberg defeated Hammer. I assume that's Van Hammer. Ultimo Dragon defeated Chavo Guerrero Jr. Lex Luger defeated Barry Darso for some reason. Brian Adams and Kurt Hennig defeated Jim Neidhart and the British Bulldog. That is a WF 1995 match if I've ever heard one.
Yeah,
Jericho defeated Juventud Guerrera. Scott Steiner defeated Sick Boy. And in the main event, the World Heavyweight Champion Sting defeated Kevin Nash by disqualification. So there you have it.
Oh, there's a surprise.
That doesn't sound like a bad card, though.
No. There's a few matches on there I wouldn't mind watching.
Yes, absolutely. I think Nitro's running. I don't know if Nitro's up to 3 hours yet or not, but I think Nitro might have been running 3 hours to 2 hours at this point. I could be wrong, though. I don't know. I don't watch Nitro. I watch Raw. So what do I know?
Yeah.
But that's it. Anything else?
At the end of the day, no, we're watching Raw, and I'm glad we are.
Yep. So there you have it. That is it for this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Anything else you want to say about this episode before we wrap things up here, Glenn? Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
2 thumbs up.
Double thumbs up show from me. I thought it was entertaining. I didn't at any point go, oh, my God, like I did the week before.
No, that's it.
So there it is. Glenn, who do you want to plug before we get out of here?
I'm booking the territory with Dan and Rob, doing the first and last of wrestling, NSI projects, being Elite Gate Golf, where Sammy Guevara is holding the AEW Championship to hostage on his on his vlog. Anyway, and what else is it? I'm booking the Tankatory. The Life and Times of One Tank Abbott, and the hardest man in wrestling, so they say, but we disagree because we think it's Sid. And and I'm stuck in the Tankatory. The Road to Wembley 1981 for Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, and the most watched wrestling match of all time, 80 million viewers apparently.
That's a lot.
And of course,
the Doctor Who podcast with Danny Inside. That's on SJP World Media.
And finally, DC and Doc with DDT Wrestling. Getting less and less about wrestling and more about DC and Doc, but give them a listen. It's always entertaining.
There's always something going on at DDT, not so much wrestling. Give all those people find people a listen and a follow if you don't already. And make sure you give a follow to the other member of our podcast team, the Mayor of Can. He does a meal with the Mayor every Wednesday on the
on the X where he tries a different fast food item. But admittedly, he did say that he has been forgetting it recently.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll get one and maybe you won't. The mayor's a busy guy, okay? He's got a lot going on. He doesn't have time to fucking eat food for you fucking people, okay? Leave him alone.
Yeah. I don't even think he's having time to have lunch at the moment.
Yeah, he doesn't have time for lunch. Give him a follow on Twitter anyway. Check out whatever the mayor's got going on. I don't even know what he's got going on. He's the mayor. He's busy. And, of course, check out everything they got going on at Sports Wire Radio. Check out the website. It's sportswireradio.org. That is sports with a Z, wireradio.org. And make sure you give the patriarch, the man, I was going to say the man in the middle, but that didn't make any sense. The man running Sports Wire Radio, Mr. Thomas Bryce. Give him a follow on all social media. Just search Thomas Bryce. The name is just like it sounds, Thomas B. Rice, and give him a follow. Check out the lovely chops. That's it. I got nothing else to say, nothing else to talk about, except for, subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out the Life and Times of Psycho Sid. It's out right now. He teams with his fellow Team Madness member, Macho Man Randy Savage, to take on Kevin Nash and Sting in a tag team match with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. No, I'm not making that up. That's true. Check it out. Listen to it. Watch it. And that's it. I got nothing else to say. There's only one thing left today for us to say, and that's for Glenn to say goodbye.
Goodbye.